Hello viewers. In this video, I'm sharing latest Windows Server interview questions and its answers which are being asked in year 2024. Keep watching my videos for latest updates in interview patterns. Subscribe to my channel and click on notification bell for latest video updates. Let's begin with the video. Question 1. What is Active Directory domain? Answer. Active Directory domain is a logical boundary created by installing ADDS Active Directory directory services and promoting server as DC by using DC promo. Its primary function is to authenticate and authorize domain users to access AD resources like desktop, printers, files, etc. Question 2. How to create AD users, computers and groups? Answer. Open Active Directory Users and Computers MMC. Right-click on domain name and click on New and then Users or Computers or Group. Question 3. What are types of AD users we can create in AD? Answer. We can create two types of users. One is normal user account with no special privilege, and other is admin account with admin level privileges. Question 4. What are groups and type of groups? Answer. Security groups are a way to collect user accounts, computer accounts, and other groups into manageable units. There are two types of groups. One is security group, and other is distribution group. Question 5. What is group scope? Answer. Each group has a scope that identifies the extent to which the group is applied in the domain tree or forest. While creating group, we can select three scopes. First, universal security groups, and these groups are most often used to assign permissions to related resources in multiple domains. Members from any domain may be added. Second, global security groups. These global groups are most often used to organize users who share similar network access requirements, provide domain-centric membership, place all user accounts into global groups. Members can be added only from the domain in which the global group was created. A global group can be used to assign permissions for access to resources in any domain. Third, domain local groups are often used to assign permissions for access to resources like access, permissions on files and printer, etc. You can assign these permissions only in the same domain where you create the domain local group. Members from any domain may be added to a domain local group. Question 6. What is GPO in Active Directory? Answer. Group Policy Object GPO is a virtual collection of policy settings used to control Windows environment with restriction and permissions. Group Policy Editor MMC is used to edit GPO. Question 7. What is the order of implementation in GPO? Answer. GPO implementation order is also known as LSDOU. L stands for local, S stands for site, D stands for domain, and OU stands for organization unit. GPO applied on local site level will get applied first, then to domain level, then to OU level if there is a conflict. Then, the policy applied last will be in effect. Question 8. What is file and folder permissions in Windows OS? Answer. There are two types of files and folder permissions. First is NTFS permissions and second is share permission. Question 9. What is NTFS permissions? Answer. NTFS permissions are applied to every file and folder stored on a volume, formatted with the NTFS file system. By default, permissions are inherited from a root folder to the files and subfolders under it. Although this inheritance can be disabled, NTFS permissions take effect regardless of whether a file or folder is accessed locally or remotely. Question 10. What is share permission? Answer. Share permissions are only applied to folders which are shared. They take effect when a shared folder is accessed across a network from a remote machine. The share permissions on a particular shared folder applies to that folder and its content. Share permissions are less granular than NTFS permissions, and it offers access levels of read, change, and full control. Question 11. What are the things to remember in NTFS and share permissions? Answer. The most important thing to remember about NTFS permissions and share permissions is the manner in which they combine to regulate access. The rules for determining a user's level of access to a particular file are as follows. Point 1. If the file is accessed locally, only the NTFS permissions are used to determine the user's level of access. Point 2. If the file is accessed through a share, NTFS and share permissions are both used, and the most restrictive permission applies. For example, if the share permissions on the shared folder grant the user read access and the NTFS permissions grant the user modify access. Then the user's effective permission level is read when accessing the share remotely and modify when accessing the folder locally. Point 3. A user's individual permissions combine additively with the permissions of the groups that the user is a member of. If a user has read access to a file but the user is a member of a group that has modify access to the same file, then the user's effective permission level is modify. Point 4. Permissions assigned directly to a particular file or folder, explicit permissions, takes precedence over permissions inherited from a parent folder, inherited permissions. Point 5. Explicit deny permissions take precedence over explicit allow permissions, but because of the previous rule, explicit allow permissions take precedence over inherited deny permissions. Question 12. What is ping? Answer. Ping is a computer network administration software program used to test the reachability of a host on an internet protocol network. It is available for virtually all operating systems that have networking capability. Example: ping www.google.com.
Question 13. What is BIOS? Answer. BIOS, or Basic Input-Output System. It is software stored on a small memory chip, also known as firmware. BIOS is found on the motherboard, and it is the very first software to run after a computer starts. BIOS identifies, configures, tests, and connects computer hardware to the OS after a computer is turned on. This is called the boot process. It is responsible for post or power-on self-test, the initial set of diagnostic tests performed by the computer right after it is turned on to check for any hardware-related issues. Post does not rely on any specific operating system. Additionally, there does not even need to be an OS installed on a hard drive for it to run because post is handled by the BIOS, not any installed software. If an OS is installed, post runs before it can start up. Question 14. What is NSLookup? Answer. NSLookup, from name server lookup, is a network administration command line tool for querying the domain name system, DNS, to obtain the mapping between domain name and IP address or other DNS records. Example: NSLookup google.com. Question 15. What is netstat? Answer. The netstat command, meaning network statistics, is a command prompt command used to display very detailed information about how your computer is communicating with other computers or network devices. Specifically, it can show details about individual network connections, overall and protocol-specific networking statistics, and much more, all of which could help troubleshoot certain kinds of networking issues. Example: netstat --f. In this example, we execute netstat to show all active TCP/UDP connections. Question 16. What is telnet? Answer. Telnet is commonly used by terminal emulation programs that allow you to log into a remote host. However, telnet can also be used for terminal-to-terminal communication and inter-process communication. Telnet is also used by other protocols, for example, FTP, for establishing a protocol control channel. Example: Telnet 8.8.8.8 Question 17. What is tracert? Answer. Traceroute Tracert is a program to find the number of hops to reach a destination server on network level. Example: Tracert 8.8.8.8. Question 18. What commonly used network protocol we must know? Answer. TCP, UDP, FTP, POP3, SMTP, HTTP, HTTPS, NTP, IGMP, SNMP, BGP, OSPF, ARP, VNC, DNS, Telnet, SSH, LDAP. Question 19. What are common ports to remember? Answer. FTP uses port 20. SSH uses port 22. Telnet uses port 23. SMTP uses port 25. DNS uses port 53. HTTP uses port 80. POP3 uses port 110. NTP uses port 123. HTTPS TLS SSL uses port 443. LDAP uses port 389. LDAPS uses port 636. SNMP uses port 161. Question 20. What is OS firewall and its usage? Answer. A firewall acts as a filter that monitors access between your operating system and unwanted traffic or outside sources. In short, firewalls help protect you from hackers or malware that may try to steal your personal information. Question 21. What is antivirus? Answer. Antivirus software, computer protection software, is a program that is created to search, detect, prevent and remove software viruses from your system that can harm your system. Question 22. What are the things we can delete from C drive to do disk cleanup on servers? Answer. We can delete the files which are not needed by OS to function and are not important to be present on server. We can run disk cleanup tool to detect temp files generated and other files. We can delete folder at path c:\windows\software distribution. We can delete files stored on path %temp%. We can delete event log files from path c:\system32/winft/logs. We can delete user profiles from path c:\users. Question 23. How to check memory and CPU utilization? Answer. We can use Task Manager to view CPU and memory utilization, and if resource utilization is high and we need to check CPU utilization, then run command wmic space CPU space get space load percentage. To check memory utilization, run command wmic space CPU space get space load percentage space format value. Question 24. What is BSOD? Answer. Blue screen of death. BSOD appears when system crashes due to high CPU or memory utilization by any installed application, and before crashes, system saves all memory logs to a dump file, which can be investigated to find the exact name of application which caused the system crash. Stay tuned in for next upcoming video series of recent interview questions asked by interviewers in 2024. All the best for your interview. We will help you to be prepared with latest unexpected question series, and you will be able to answer them successfully.